This is part 3 of a reading of the 28 pages of the 9/11 Commission Report. If you haven't seen parts 1 or 2, they're located in the description. The General Counsel of the U.S. Treasury Department testified at the July 23, 2002 hearing about the lack of Saudi cooperation with the U.S. There is an almost intuitive sense, however, that things are not being volunteered. So I want to fully inform you about it, that we have to ask and we have to seek and we have to strive. I will give you 1.5 examples. The first is, after some period, the Saudis have agreed to the designation of a man named Julayden, who is notoriously involved in all of this, and his designation will be public within the next 10 days. They came forward to us 2 weeks ago and said, okay, we think we should go forward with the designation and a freeze order against Mr. Julayden. We asked, what do you have on him? Because they certainly know what we have on him, because we shared it as we tried to convince them that they ought to join us. The answer back was, nothing new. Mr. Beruter, do you believe that? Mr. Aufhauser, no, I think that taxes credulity, or there is another motive we are not being told. Status of the U.S. intelligence community's investigations into connections between terrorism and Saudi government officials. Both the FBI and CIA have informed the committees that they are treating the Saudi issue seriously. According to the November 18, 2002 FBI response, the FBI and CIA have established a working group to look into the Saudi issue. The FBI formed a squad at the Washington field office, redacted, to investigate this issue and redacted. Testimony redacted. However, both the FBI and the CIA still have only a limited understanding of the Saudi government's ties to terrorist elements. In the October 9, 2002 closed hearing, Director Mueller stated, "If I have one preliminary note of caution, it is that at this point there are more questions than answers, and I would caution against jumping to conclusions before we know a lot more." A document located by the Joint Inquiry Staff confirms that the FBI's Washington field office is still in the early stages of focusing on these investigations. In an August 15, 2002 communication, the field office stated that, redacted. In the same document, the Washington field office asked, redacted. Redacted acknowledged in his testimony that the understanding of this issue is limited as well. With regard to the specific question of have we seen the Saudi intelligence services supporting terrorist groups, I think the record is not clear at all on that. Both the FBI and CIA recognize the possibility that individuals connected to the Saudi government may be providing support to terrorists. Redacted testified. So there is certainly a good chance that there are sympathizers or extremists, sympathizers possibly for al-Qaeda within the security services. Redacted also noted that Abu Zubaydah said he's confident that al-Qaeda must have contact, certainly with Saudis in the United States, and that al-Qaeda and Osama bin Laden are particularly redacted. They invest significant energy in cultivating what Abu Zubaydah called good relationships with Saudis of all standing. He said bin Laden is very pleased with when Saudis in the military, those successful in business and those close to the royal family, to lend active support to his cause. He said bin Laden actively seeks out such relationships. Redacted stated, "What we find troubling about the case we learned about from FBI, both the Los Angeles cases and some of the cases that the Washington field office has looked at, in which you're seeing Saudi money going to people, is that it fits sort of a pattern that we've seen in terms of direct payments from the Saudis, the Saudi government's long-standing support for very fundamentalist Wahhabi and Salafi charities and movements around the world, which in a sense you see the money is going to fundamentalists, and you would be very surprised if some of it doesn't bleed over into terrorist support. We've had a lot of suspicions before September 11th, which we documented in a number of different papers, and again, it's a lot of smoke, and the issues that come up are who knows about the payments, on whose behalf are the payments being made. Are they being made on behalf of the central government, or are they being made by a local official or person? Do the people who are making the payments know what's happening to the money? If they do know what's happening, why are they making the payments? Is it a form of blackmail? Do they recognize the terrorist support? There's the issue of, are they regulating themselves as well as they are to do due diligence that they ought to? FBI Executive Director Pascal D'Amato testified at that same hearing. To date, I can't sit here and tell you that those ties go back, that we can prove that the Saudi royal family is sponsoring terrorism. But there's enough smoke that we are conducting several investigations to try to determine what other information is out there. What is clear is that the FBI did not treat the Saudis as a counterterrorism redacted threat prior to September 11, 2001. Redacted. Michael Rowlands, the former head of the International Terrorism Operations Section at FBI, testified. The answer to your question is pre-9/11, there were not any significant preliminary inquiry or full investigations, with relatively few exceptions, conducted by the FBI looking at Saudi redacted or support for terrorism. I'm not going to stand here, Miss Hill, and tell you in any way, shape, or form, redacted. The former assistant special agent in charge in San Diego confirmed this in his testimony. Basically, redacted. They were not a country identified by the State Department as a state sponsor of terrorism. And the theme or the common modus operandi that we saw in San Diego was that if there were redacted there, the primary objective was to monitor dissidents in the interest of protecting the royal family, so they were not viewed as an inimical threat to national security. In the October 9, 2002 closed hearings, Director Mueller acknowledged that he became aware of some of the facts regarding the Saudi issue only as a result of the investigative work of the Joint Inquiry staff. I'm saying the sequence of events here. I think the staff probed. As a result of the probing, some facts came to light here, and to me, frankly, that had not come to light before. And perhaps would not have come to light had the staff not probed. That's what I'm telling you. So I'm agreeing with you that the staff probing brought out facts that may not have come to the committee. Senator DeWin. But what you're also saying, though, is that probing then brought facts to your attention. Director Mueller. Yes. And those were the 28 pages of the 9/11 Commission report, since mostly declassified in mid-2016. If you found this valuable, please like, share, and subscribe for more. Thanks for listening.